Alright, what's up everybody? Back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Yes, we're back. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today we're recapping day 4, or the end of the second round of the NCAA tournament. Some more good games today. Some more good games. We're going to recap those, but first, before we get into it, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn on notifications, do all the stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. We got some NBA content coming back, especially with the last stretch of the regular season coming. NBA content coming back, and then we also have some March Madness sprinkled in there as well. I also got shorts on the channel, so if you want to see some short form content, go watch that. And let's not waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. First game we had, we started off with a 3-11 matchup. Xavier and Pittsburgh. Xavier coming off almost getting upset in the first round by the 14 Kennesaw State. They pulled it out at the end. And then 11 Pittsburgh coming off their upset on Iowa State. Very, back and forth game to start as it usually is. Pittsburgh actually got off to a 15-14 start in this game after an Nagi Sabandi layup. And then from that point on, Xavier outscored Pittsburgh the rest of the half 31-21. Adam Kunkel was huge in this game, getting layups, hitting threes, passing the ball around. Jack Nungy, their big man as well. Getting easy ones, Jerome Hunter. And yeah, Pittsburgh's shot just wasn't really falling, but Xavier was moving the ball around. Xavier really loves to move the ball. They play a very team-oriented style of basketball, and it worked in the first half. I think after a good start, Pittsburgh just wasn't really making shots. Xavier was hitting their shots, moving the ball around, getting everyone involved. Pittsburgh tried to make a comeback late in the game, even though Xavier got up to a 20-point game. At one point, Pittsburgh tried to make a comeback. They got it to within 10 with 2:58 left. Then again, Pittsburgh just couldn't hit their threes, and Xavier hitting free throws, and Xavier wins the game 84-73, and they go into the Sweet 16. Xavier ended up shooting 48% from the field. Pittsburgh shot 39%. The big thing was the assists. Xavier doubled Pittsburgh's assists. Xavier had 22 assists. Pittsburgh had 11 assists. In this game, that was a huge difference, and everyone was scoring. The whole starting five scored in double figures for Xavier. Jack Nungy was the leading scorer. He had 18, 3, and 3 with 2 blocks and 8 for 12 shooting. Adam Kunkel had 15 points. He had 5 threes. Jerome Hunter and Soli Boom had 14 points each. And then Jones had 10, 14, and 7. And then Claude off the bench had 11 points as well. And then for Pittsburgh, Blake Hinton had 18 points. Burton had 16. Guillermo Diaz-Graham had 11. But yeah, Nelly Cummings shot 3 for 14. Greg Elliott was 1 for 6. They just didn't have as much scoring as Xavier did. Xavier's going to be a tough team when they got, they have their whole starting five can get you double figures, and everyone's unselfish. They move the ball around. They're going to be a very good team in the tournament. We had another 3 seed in action. 3-6, Kansas State and Kentucky, and this was a very fun game to watch. Kentucky got off to a solid start in this game. Started off, 15-7. Cason Wallace was playing good. Oscar Tshiebwe as well, but then Kansas State got it going. Marquise Noel has been amazing this entire season, getting everyone involved. He was doing it again, making some fantastic passes, but also getting to the rim, getting everyone involved. Very back and forth first half, and Kansas State led 29-26. Then we go to the second half, and it's back and forth. Cason Wallace really leading his team back into the rim, getting floaters, easy layups, also getting people involved, like Chris Livingston got involved, Oscar Tshiebwe got in. Kansas took an 8-point lead, but Kansas State came right back. Desi Sills, Marquise Noel hitting threes, getting his teammates involved. Keontae Johnson was kind of quiet in this game until the end of it. But yeah, it was very back and forth. Kansas State was moving the ball around well, but it was just Kentucky really made a lot of hustle plays. Kentucky was getting a lot of big offensive rebounds. Everyone was Oscar Tshiebwe was down there getting rebounds. Cason Wallace was really attacking. They were attacking Kansas State in the paint. That's really what it was. They were attacking Kansas State in the paint, and that really helped them out. But then Kansas State was doing the same thing on the opposite end and hitting their threes. Marquise Noel was hitting threes. Keontae Johnson was getting to the rim. Very back and forth. And the big one, Kentucky went up 1 after Cason Wallace layup, but then Ish Massoud hit a D 3-pointer to make it a 3-point lead, and then Keontae Johnson came back, hit a step back 3 to make it a 5-point game, and from then on, Kansas State would just hit their free throws, and they end up winning 75-69, moving on to the Sweet 16. Kansas shot 48% from the field. They hit 5 threes. Kentucky shot 41%, 23s, but turnovers as well. Kansas State forced 16 Kentucky turnovers. They had 2 more assists. Kentucky destroyed them on the rebounding end, but when you're turning the ball over like that, no, it's tough. And a lot of their shooters weren't really hitting. For Kansas State, Marquise Noel was really just dominating this game. He was in control of it. 27 points and 9 assists. He shot 7 for 14, hit 10 free throws. He was really controlling the game. Keontae Johnson had 13, and then Tomlin and Sills each had 12 points as well. But yeah, for Kentucky, Oscar Tshiebwe had 25 and 18, and 8 for 13 shooting. Casey Wallace had an amazing game, 21 9 and 4, shot 9 for 11, and Chris Levinson 11. But yeah, Antonio Reeves, 1 for 15 from the field, 1 for 10 from 3. One of their better scorers just didn't show up. And then Jacob Toppin also had 2 points and fouled out in 28 minutes. So yeah, I mean, the 3 of them are good, but when you're not getting help from the bench and some of your top scorers aren't showing up, it's going to be tough, especially against a really good Kansas State team that has a really good point guard and some really solid wings that do stuff on both ends. And Kansas State's going to be a tough team throughout the rest of the tournament. Next, we had a 2-7 matchup. We have Marquette, Michigan State. Marquette coming off their win against Vermont, and Michigan State coming off their close win over USC. Michigan State got off to an amazing start in this game. Michigan State started this game off 18-5. Joey Hauser doing his thing, Malik Hall as well, AJ Hoggard. And yeah, Marquette just looked sloppy. You know, they look like they're kind of taking a lot of contested shots, not playing with a lot of pace. Playing with pace, but not playing a lot of pace. I feel like they're rushing, getting to the rim and getting layups and rushing three-point attempts, but they weren't rushing, playing fast as a play style. And then they're just turning the ball over. And then Michigan State was hitting threes. Michigan State's one of the more efficient three-point shooting teams in the NCAA. And they showed it there. Jaden Akins also came in, played really good. But Marquette came back. You know, Olivier Maxence Prosper was big, doing a lot of energy stuff, getting layups, getting to foul, getting to the rim. Cam Jones a little bit as well. Cam Jones also had some injury scare late in the first half, but he ultimately came back. And Marquette started playing their game. Marquette got to a little bit of zone. Michigan State started missing some shots, and Marquette started getting fouled, getting to the free throw line. And they made it a 5-point game at halftime. Michigan State lead. And then Marquette, Olivier Maxence Prosper hit 2 3-pointers to start the second half to take the lead for Marquette. Marquette really started to roll. You know, they're hitting threes, playing good defense. Michigan State wasn't hitting their shots. But then Tyson Walker and AJ Hoggard. Tyson Walker was big, hitting shots, pull-up jumpers, and getting to the free throw line. Joey Hauser as well, hitting some free throws. Michigan State really started to come back. It was very close, back down to the wire. Michigan State really locked in defensively the last few minutes. They weren't allowing any Marquette field goals. Marquette only had 2 field goals in the last 3 minutes of the game, and those 2 were like the end when they were up by 7 already. It didn't matter. But yeah, Michigan State really started locking down their defense, and then they're getting layups. Tyson Walker, AJ Hoggard got layups. Tyson Walker another jump shot. He was huge in this game, and Michigan State pulls off the upset, beating Marquette 69-60. Michigan State shoots 44% from the field. Marquette shot 30%. Marquette actually hit 11 threes. Michigan State hit 2 threes in this game. They shot 2 for 16 from 3. But turnovers, they forced 16 Marquette turnovers. And then they rebounded Marquette 36-29, had 10 offensive boards. Tyson Walker was huge in this game. 23 points, shot 8 for 17, 7 for 8 from the free throw line. He was getting easy buckets. Easy buckets, and that's what you like for your guards to do. Joey Hauser had 14 and 10, and then AJ Hoggard had 13 as well, and then Sissoko had 10 rebounds in this game. Yeah, for Marquette, Olivier Maxence Prosper had 16 points. Cam Jones had 14. Iguodala had 10, but yeah. Tyler Kolek, one of their better scorers, had 7 points, shot 2 for 8. Mitchell was 2 for 6. Their bench had 7 points. And yeah, Marquette just couldn't really lock in. Michigan State was really just locking in defensively. You know, and Tom Izzo, he loves, he's a really good coach. And he really had his team locked in. Next, we had a 4-5 matchup. UConn and St. Mary's. UConn coming off their beating of Iona, and St. Mary's held off VCU. It was a really good start to this game. Again, very back and forth. Alex Dukas for St. Mary's started off this game very well, but then he got injured a little bit through the first half, or early in the second half, I think. Or was it mid-first half? I forgot exactly what time it was. But that really hurt them because he was really doing it for St. Mary's. They got off to a 17-9 start. But then UConn's bench UConn's depth and their bench really came back. Clean hit a layup. Um, Line hit a three. Joey Calcaterra, those guys really brought him back late. And then Adam Sanogo got hot. And Andre Jackson was doing really good. UConn led 31-30 at halftime. Second half was very back and forth. For St. Mary's, with Dukas out, they had Marcia Lunas and Eden Mahaney trying to do stuff. Mitchell Saxon trying to do stuff, but Adam Sanogo got big in the second half, getting layups, getting to the free throw line. Andre Jackson as well. Jordan Hawkins was big in the second half as well, hitting 3-pointers, and UConn blew the game open, and they ultimately end up winning 70-55. UConn shoots 54% from the field and hits 10 threes, while St. Mary's shot just 39%, hit 4 threes. They also out-assisted St. Mary's 15-9, and rebounded them 30-22. They have 5 blocks in this game as well. Adama Sanogo, 24-8, shot 11 for 16. Really good first 2 games of the tournament. Against Iona, he had like 28, and then he had 24 today. Tristan Newton was also pretty solid, 13 and 5 assists. And then Jordan Hawkins hit 4 threes at 12 points in this game. Andre Jackson also had 6 and 7. But yeah, for St. Mary's, no double-figure scores. The only scores were Johnson and Mahaney, each at 9. But yeah, they just couldn't find their shot, really. And the thing was, in the VCU game, they couldn't find their shot, but Mitchell Saxon in the paint, was really bringing them back. This game, they were playing against UConn. Adama Sanogo was down there, locking up the paint. Andre Jackson's a really good defender, so they couldn't find that. And when the shot's not falling, UConn took advantage, and they win that game. Our next game we had was another 3-6 matchup. We had Baylor taking on Creighton. Baylor beating UCSB, and Creighton defeating NC State. And another really good game. Threes were flying, especially for Creighton. Ryan Cogburner dunking, and Baylor Shireman. Francisco Farabello, Ryan Nemhard. Threes are flying early for Creighton. They took an early 22-14 lead. Baylor, LJ Cryer. I was hitting shots to bring him back. Adam Flagler as well, getting to the rim. Yeah, Creighton's 3-point shot was really the difference. They led 39-29 going into halftime. Creighton's a team that really has a lot of good, smart IQ players like Ryan Nemhard, Trey Alexander, Ryan Cogburn. They also got some shooters out there as well. And yeah, Baylor made it a 7-point game at 1 point, but then, again, Creighton's Ryan Nemhard and Trey Alexander, those two were really good, getting to the rim, hitting threes, hitting pull-up shots. Those two were very efficient today. Baylor, LJ Cryer was really bringing them back. He was doing really, really well for Baylor. But then the threes started going down. Ryan Nemhard started to get he hit a 3, and then Ryan Cogburner dunk. Arthur Kaluma even got in there as well. And the threes just started flying around everywhere for Creighton, and they ended up winning the game 85-76. Creighton shoots 47% from the field. They hit 11 3-pointers, 46%. While Baylor shoots 46% from the field and hits 5 threes. Creighton out-assisted Baylor 14-5. That rebounded him 33-25 as well. Ryan Nemhard had an amazing game, 30 points. Shot 8 for 13, hit 4 threes, hit all 10 of his free throws. Very high IQ, he played really well. Trey Alexander as well. Had 17, 8, and 5 on 5 for 13 shooting. And then Kaluma had 11 and 7, and Ron Cogburner had 10 and 7. Yeah, it's a really good all-around game from Creighton. They take a lot of threes, and they have a lot of capable 3-point shooters. They have a lot of capable guards that can get their own, but also get others involved. And they're a very good team. They're a very, very good team. For Baylor, LJ Cryer gave it his all. He had 30, shot 13 for 22, hit 4 threes. Adam Flagler had 15. He kind of was getting cold at the end. And then Bridges had 12. But yeah, Keontae George shot 1 for 10 from the field. Flo Thamba was 2 for 2. Their bench had 6 points. Yeah, and Baylor, they lost. They got upset. And Creighton is very good, man. Creighton is actually like a really, really good team. They're going to go out and play Princeton. That's going to be a very high IQ, a lot of 3-pointers launched in that game. That's going to be a very good one. The next game we had was a really fun one. We had 16 Fairleigh Dickinson, or FDU, taking on number 9, FAU, Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic coming off their win against Memphis, and FDU coming off their insane upset over Purdue. And this was a very, very fun game. FAU got off to a 9-0 start. Elijah Martin really leading their team. But, of course, FDU, Grant Singleton was hitting some really nice 3-pointers to bring him back. Joe Munden Jr. as well. Anzi Almanor really brought him back. And this is a very fast-paced game. A lot of shots going up. Yeah, a lot of threes, a lot of very fast team, fast-paced game on both sides. Florida Atlantic led 32-25 at halftime. Going to the second half, Joe Munden hits a couple of threes, or hits a couple of shots to give FDU the lead. Sean Moore, and then Dimitri Roberts in the second half was huge, hitting threes, getting to the rim, layups, and some nice layups as well. FAU, John L. Davis was really big in this game, getting to the rim, getting layups. Elijah Martin as well hit some big 3-pointers. It was just a very fast-paced, very fun game, going back and forth. Two of these teams, not very likely teams to be here in this situation. But then late, Dimitri Roberts was trying to keep him in this game, but John L. Davis was getting to the rim. Then Brian Greeley hit a big 3-pointer with a minute 41 left to make it an 8-point lead. And then John L. Davis dunked with a minute 22 left, kind of sealed the game. FAU wins 78-70. FAU shoots 41% from the field. FDU shoots 38%. Both teams shot 9 for 31 from 3. But FAU forced 11 turnovers. They had 18 assists to FDU's 12, and they had 13 offensive boards. They also had 8 steals and 5 blocks. And John L. Davis was amazing in this game. 29 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals. He was doing everything out there for FAU. He shot 10 for 16. Elijah Martin also contributed with 14 points. And just him doing him. John L. Davis doing him really was the big factor in this game. For FDU, Dimitri Roberts was great. 27 and 4, shot 8 for 22, 2 for 12 and 3. Hit some big shots. Sean Moore had 14 and 9. And then Joe Munden had 13 points as well. But FDU couldn't really convert down the stretch and has a lot of turnovers late in the game that really cost them. But I said it in my conference championship video for March Madness. Still, I'm not surprised FAU goes on a run. And I predicted FAU to get to the Sweet 16. Now they're in it, and they have a good chance to win. They play against Tennessee. I think they played Tennessee, right? Yeah, they played Tennessee in the Sweet 16. And I think that's going to be a good matchup. Tennessee's an amazing defense, but FAU's not so bad themselves, So, that was a very exciting game. Shout out to Fairleigh Dickinson, though. They deserve applause. Defeating Purdue, a 16, almost getting to the Sweet 16. We never had a 16 get to the Sweet 16, but they did their best, so shout out to them. Next up, we had a 4-5 matchup. We had Miami, the 5 seed, 4 seed Indiana. Miami coming off, almost getting upset by Drake, but they come back in the final few minutes and win. And Indiana defeating Kent State. Miami started this game off amazing, a lot of energy. Awuga Poplar, Nigel Pack, Norchad Omier, doing their thing. They started off on a 13-3 run, and then started the game off opening up 28-15. They were on fire shooting, playing fast, hitting threes, playing amazing defense. But then Indiana, Tracy Jackson Davis wakes up in this game, does this thing. Trey Galloway hit some shots as well. Race Thompson. It was 40-35. Miami up at half as Indiana really made a comeback. And they started the second half off really well. Indiana scored the first 8 points of the second half to take a 3-point lead, led by Tracy Jackson Davis and Race Thompson. But then Indiana, Isaiah Wong gets it going. Isaiah Wong and Jordan Miller usually this game, hitting jumpers, hitting threes, getting to the rim. Awuga Poplar as well, and Norchad Omier doing the hustle plays, getting rebounds, playing good defense. And then Miami blew up a 10-point lead after hitting back-to-back 3-pointers by Harlan Beverly and Isaiah Wong. And then from then on out, Miami was just playing really good on defense, leading to fast break points in transition. Jalen Hood-Schifino tried to bring Indiana back, but it was no use. Miami ends up winning 85-69. Miami shoots 49% from the field and 39% from 3. Indiana shot just 41% and 31% from 3. 12 turnovers for each team. Miami out-assisted Indiana 14-10, and then the rebounds are huge. Miami out-rebounded Indiana 45-29, had 19 offensive boards in this game. And just, the energy, really. Miami came out and hustled, gave energy on every play, and that's how they won this game. Isaiah Wong, 27-8, shot 9 for 17, hit 4 threes. He was great in this game after having a pretty bad round one. And then Jordan Miller had 19-5 with 2 blocks. Nigel Pack put a 12, and then Norchad Omier has 17 rebounds. For Indiana, Tracy Jackson Davis, 23-8 and 5 blocks in his final game at Indiana. Shot 7 for 10, 9 for 11 from 3. Jalen Hood-Schifino had 19, and then Race Thompson had 11. But Indiana had no points from their bench in this game, while Miami had 14. from their bench. That was a big difference. That was actually the difference of the game. Miami won by 16. So those 14 bench points are huge for Miami, and yeah, they're a very sneaky team. They don't look like they'll come in and upset, but they'll come in and play hard, play fast, give energy on both ends, and that's gonna be a really good matchup with Houston later this week. And the final game we had of the day was TCU Gonzaga 3-6 matchup. Gonzaga coming off their win against, I honestly don't even remember who Gonzaga beat. They beat Grand Canyon, and TCU beat Arizona State. And yeah, TCU was on them early. TCU was making plays early. Yeah, Chuck O'Bannon, Mike Miles, Emmanuel Miller making shots early. Even TCU's like reserves, like Cork and Dombia making shots early. And TCU looked like it was going to be, they were going to upset them. TCU went to halftime with a 38-33 lead because Anton Watson and Bolton and kind of like the Gonzaga reserves kind of helped Gonzaga get back into this game. Let me go early second half, and Gonzaga takes a lead off of Julian Strother 3, and it really goes back and forth at that point. Mike Miles hits a big 3. It's a couple big shots. Drew Timme and Rasir Bolton hit shots. It's very, very back and forth. But the ending was just Gonzaga just being a better team. Gonzaga got a lot of possessions. They scored a lot in the paint. They hit some threes. TCU missed a lot of free throws. Couldn't make shots. The big one, Drew Timme late in this game, hitting a layup with a minute 42 left, kind of putting them up 5, and they kind of sealed the game. Gonzaga wins 84-81. Both teams shoot 45% of the field. They shot the same amount of shots and made the same amount of shots. TCU hit one more 3-pointer, but the free throws, both teams didn't shoot well from the free throw line, but Gonzaga hit 16-25. TCU was 12 for 20. And rebounding as well. Gonzaga got rebounded in 40-33, had 11 offensive boards. Really, the difference in this game was kind of Drew Timme. Drew Timme put up 28 and 8, shot 12 for 21, but Rasir Bolton also was a big difference in this game. 17 points on 5 for 12 shooting. He was a great second option. And then Smith had 11 off the bench. Strother had 10. And then Anton Watson doing everything else. He had 9, 12, 4, and 3 steals. We have for TCU, Mike Miles, 24 points, shot 8 for 13. He had a great game. Bao had 15 and 8, and then Emmanuel Miller had 14. But yeah, Chuck O'Bannon shot just 3 for 14. Cork had 1 shot. The bench was decent in this game, but Gonzaga just had the better team, honestly. And now they're going on to the Sweet 16. Those are all the games from yesterday. We're got the final 16 teams now in the NCAA tournament, man. And games have been amazing so far. There's been some craziness going on, and it's only going to get even better. But once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, turn on notifications. I'll keep you updated with all the March Madness stuff, as well as talking about the NBA every single day. So, yeah. Hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you guys tomorrow.